Hey everyone, welcome back to Inventing Construction. I'm Ross Griffin, and today we have a very special guest, Tom Haley. Tom, welcome. But Tom, before you introduce yourself, I'm going to introduce the topic and the subtopics of today. So we're going to talk about the future of quantity surveying and Quantik. We're going to hear a little bit about Quantik and what you guys are doing, and I'm super interested to hear about this within that space. And obviously you're doing a lot for the future of quantity surveying, so we're going to dig into that as well. Are you seeing better information in the industry right now because of BIM or whatever reason? But we'll get into that also. Is it fight firing or strategy that you're seeing more of these days? And what's next for the industry and more importantly, Quantik? But let's not delay anymore, Tom. Introduce yourself, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Ross. So my name's Tom Haley. I'm director of Quantik. We are a quantity surveying firm, mainly working with main contractors. So we're on the main contractor and specialist side of the industry rather than the client side. Yeah. Founded the company about 4.5 years ago now, during COVID. Yeah.
Good time to start.
Yeah, pretty crazy time to start. Things were a bit challenging to start with, but over time, we really seem to be picking up some momentum. But my background is QS, so from trainee right through to commercial leader, worked in UK, Hong Kong, Australia. So plenty of experience, seen plenty of different things, and now bringing all that into my own business.
When did you return to the UK then, Tom?
Around the same time.
Around the same time,
yeah. So came back and started.
We were talking a while back. We worked in Lang O'Rourke around the same time.
We did.
Back into the noughties.
Yeah, and had some similar stakeholders or similar people that we know. So that was most of my background, all of my background, and then now come out into industry to do my own thing and put my own stamp on the world.
Excellent. Yeah. And how are things going now in Quantik? Like 4.5 years, and starting off in the middle of COVID, and
hard work. I mean, you know yourself. You start a business, and you're pretty much doing everything yourself. Day one,
you're absolutely jack of all trades.
So you're trying your best, but persevere, be consistent. Keep putting yourself out there, keep plugging away, keep turning up, and eventually the wheel starts to turn. And I think through that first few years, I think a lot of reflection on what do I want to be? What do I want to do? What's the next stage of my career all about? What legacy do I want to leave? What do I want to look back on? So really tough period, just trying to get things going, but actually probably a necessary period, because now I've got a really clear idea
vision
of that's it. So try not to be everything to everyone. I've got a really clear idea. So
super specialist within your focus area then.
Yeah, I think the thing I reflected on was I'm a good main contractors QS. So why not just be a good main contractors QS? Why go off and try and be something completely different? So that came a lot to my mind. And then just thinking about the provision of QS services and my experience of it being quite indifferent and inconsistent. So obviously an opportunity there to do it better. Having worked in a big organization at a very senior level, I've got a good understanding of what good looks like and what stakeholders really want. They don't just want time, they want results. And then probably starting to think about how can this be transformed now? Because it is and we've had a few conversations about this, we're not using technology as well as we could. We end up doing a lot of things that take a lot of time that shouldn't be necessary. And we perform a really important function in the industry, but it could be better. So how can I lead that transformation and be part of that transformation? So that's probably the most exciting thing for me. How can it be done differently?
Yeah. I always like to talk to founders of businesses to understand the challenges that they have and the struggles they have when starting up a business. And I think that jack of all trades, you're doing everything from trying to deliver to the client first of all, doing the work that you're delivering, doing the sales, doing the marketing, doing the branding, doing the IT.
When you're in a big corporate or whatever, so things just happen, and then when you're by yourself, you're kind of like, well, who does that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Who does that? Oh, that's me as well.
How the hell do I do that?
Okay,
Next question.
and then, but that's been fantastic too, because you learn different things. I mean, we've spoke before, I think, about marketing and branding, and that is never something as a quantity surveyor you'd ever touch or get involved in, but actually the opportunity to learn, develop, that's a fantastic challenge. So it's been a struggle, but I've really enjoyed it at the same time.
You're really broadening your skill set, actually, and that self-learning component to it, trying to figure it out, helps you also in kind of the value and the offering that you're giving to your clients as well.
Yeah. So your personal journey where, before it was quantity surveying, slightly harder quantity surveying, slightly harder quantity surveying. You've got to be much broader. So that's forced me to read. It's forced me to reflect. It's forced me to look at the world around me and, how are they doing that? And why is that so successful? And why is that not working? So that's really, I think, rounded me. So it's been a challenging journey, but really exciting at the same time.
And I think that's part of that startup view from the outside in. Everybody thinks, wow, you're doing it yourself, excellent, and after so many years, loads of money and loads of time and loads of quality of life and all of this.
Put your feet up and
I'm just telling you now, it's total rubbish.
It has its and there's some dark days and lonely days as well where you're sort of struggling by yourself. But I guess through those tough times, that's where you learn a lot about yourself and you grow and you develop. And then I think now I'm in a more fortunate position with a team and a more established brand.
Yeah.
You appreciate those things a lot more and you don't take them for granted.
Now and
that's it. The work that's gone into getting to that point. So your appreciation for the things around you are much better. So it's not straightforward, but it's been good.
If it was easy, like everybody would be doing it.
Well, there is a reason people give up after a certain period, and you can fully understand it. Absolutely. So thankfully that didn't happen. We're both still going strong, I think.
You need to be thick-skinned a little bit and, risk. I wouldn't say risk adverse, but it's calculated risk, I think, to a certain degree. What I find an awful lot about is you're thinking a lot about it, about that next step, that next journey. What does this look like? What does that look like in 6 months, 1 year, 2 year? Maybe it looks something different and you're constantly thinking about it.
It's an obsession. It's an absolute obsession. Because there's so much to improve. There's so much road ahead of you. There's so many paths that you can take. It's an absolute obsession, and I am always thinking, reflecting. But again, it's sort of become a bit of a hobby, actually. So for some people, they want to switch off the laptop, go home. But for me, I sadly quite enjoy thinking about how
a dangerous side to that, isn't there?
There is.
You're at it the whole time, and
never switching off, which was a learning point for me as well. I think there's probably a point towards the end of last year where I thought this is just all consuming and
burnout almost.
I need to make some changes to the way things are working because it's not sustainable. So, but again, I'd imagine that's just part of the journey.
It's not something that you can fix from day one unless you have a lot of bankroll behind you. And the reality is that when you're starting up like this, it's a bootstrapping, it's a shoestring budget.
That was just going to use the exact same words. You're trying to make the most of everything that you've got and not overexpose yourself.
Exactly.
So
in typical QS fashion.
Absolutely. There's some you got. You're training as a QS actually because you deal with legal issues, financial issues. It's sort of a bit of a grounding into business life. So there's a lot of working on a shoestring. How do you do it better?
Value engineer all components of the business.
That's it. So and not spending money that you don't need to spend. I think that all comes into building a business. So those again been really important grounding and has allowed me to do what I've been able to do.
Excellent. And it's about 6 months ago, I think we were talking about the future of quantity surveying. I was going to say hashtag. But can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you're very much involved with the RICS and also that the APC and the training and education and the chartership approach for QSs. But where did the passion from that come? Was that always with you as you developed your career?
Yeah, I think that desire to always be the best that you can be, not the best, but the best that you can be, which means professional standards, technical standards, constantly learning. Just that's, I don't know, that must be a natural feeling or behavior. So I've always had that within me. And then passion for developing other people as well. So, improving standards in people. And the RICS is, it is a quality stamp and it is a beacon of professionalism. So passionate about other people training and then just, what does the future hold for the profession? Because professions come and professions go and some die out and, there's existential threats to every profession, particularly in this day and age with the development of technology. So I think and there's not many individuals that are talking about what do we have to do differently? What does education have to be differently? What professional standards have to change before you become out of date? Yeah. And I think that it's trying to not lead that conversation, but try and promote that discussion, because if we're not talking about it, and I don't have the answer, I don't
yet
the entire answer, but I think quantity surveyors as a profession need to be thinking about it, learning, adapting,
absolutely,
using technology intelligently. Otherwise, things, what happens to the role? Where is the value in the role? I think one of my biggest frustrations, and I don't know if we share this, is the amount of waste in the use of data, the amount of spreadsheets and errors and moving data from one place.
The administrative aspect of
God, and then you look at the industry generally, and we've got a skill shortage, but yet we always overspend against budget on projects, and you just got something.
Maybe there's a solution to this that we're not seeing. That's right in front of us.
That's it. Productivity's poor,
and
I think if people really reflected, if you're a quantity surveyor on a project, and you really reflected on how much of my time has been spent on wasted activity, i.e. moving data from one place to another place, and then how much is actually spent on making a difference to the
value creation piece.
And if people honestly stood back, I think a lot would be saying a lot of time wasted and not much time adding value.
Half my day, is it a third of my day? What are we actually doing here?
Maybe more, and maybe even whole armies of teams that are there
that are just doing that.
Yeah, they're a product of the waste, and there's just something about all of that you go, that we have to wake up to that and go, that's not acceptable. And it's not just QSs, it's engineers.
It's entire stakeholder group, I'd say, within the entire supply chain.
Exactly that. So me looking at that going, that's a big issue. I don't know, designing a business that is different and does work productively, and we do use technology intelligently. That's what I want the future to be, because if you think about it, the things that we enjoy the most is adding value. Nobody wakes up every day and goes, I can't wait to, move the data from that spreadsheet to another spreadsheet to another spreadsheet. People want to make a difference to the world that they're in.
And enjoy what they're doing.
I've got purpose, I have value. So doing more of that and
less of the other,
brings job satisfaction. Don't get me started on people working ridiculous hours, most of which is a consequence of the waste as well. So I think all of these issues all come back to probably productivity, actually, and rethinking.
Doing more with less.
How can we be more productive in what we do, rather than just sleepwalking?
I do like the RICS piece, and looking at quantity surveying as we know it now is fundamentally changing. And the only thing we can be sure of is that it's going to be different in the future, whether that's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I always say that it's important for us to stand up and write that future for ourselves. What do we want it to look like? As opposed to sitting back and allowing industry or other industries write that for us. When I say other industries, I mean the tech industry coming in and going and literally writing that for us in code and going, well, actually, guys, you're obsolete now.
We don't need you
anymore because we looked at the service you provide, and a lot of it is now redundant, administrative. We've now streamlined the entire process, so we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, why do you need an army of people pushing paper around and moving data around? Where
exactly.
There is technology available that can project manage, issues and whole sets of data. So yeah, I think what I see is, and I guess it's the same as anything. It's the people that adapt and use the technology to not to their advantage, but to their benefit, are the ones who will stand out in the career. And if you think about when we started in our career, if you were a bit of a whiz in Excel, it didn't matter. You were going places. You were absolutely. You were like the shining star. Oh God, he can put borders around these spreadsheets. You were the because the generation before us
it was paper.
I've got this computer. How do I even open it up? So we've been. Our bar is that's the level that we're used to, but really there's an entire new level now, and those coming into the industry and those early on in their career, those that are able to see that, adapt to it, are gonna fly without a doubt. But you're right, we have a responsibility to show them what's possible.
Funny you mentioned that early in the career. I was chatting to a guy recently about my first role. I was in estimating, in a company, and my task as a newly graduate was copying drawings, folding A1s, packing them up, putting them in an envelope. Where are they going? Writing up, having stacks of packages going out to subcontractors, getting quotations back. Like when I think about that now, I go, oh my God, could you imagine asking someone to do that now? Like that would be hilarious. Graduates coming out going, okay, can you take these 60, 70 packages down to the post office to post them out to contractors?
It just wouldn't happen.
And that analogy, when I now use it in today's world, like what you're talking about, the quantity surveyors and the speed now we do everything, but yet we're still slow in certain aspects. And we go back to when we used to have to post all our packages out and we couldn't email because contractually we weren't allowed to until the contracts changed.
There was that.
So it had to be
electronic.
It had to be penciled in, penned. If you were filling out a BOQ and sending in your price, it had to be handwritten, and hand delivered, which is phenomenal, and you're driving halfway across the country to do it.
Getting a receipt as well, so that you've sent it somewhere,
and a timestamp, making sure that it was before the time.
That's it.
And we look at that now as being like, that's crazy inefficient. Okay, the technology wasn't there yet, perhaps, to allow us to do it, and maybe again contractually we weren't able to do it because it wouldn't stand up. But there's many things we can look at in our process today that is similar to that in terms of the inefficiency that we're creating.
It is. One reflection I've had is, has technology also caused inefficiency as well? So, do we, you look at the use of email now, for example, and it is insane,
sitting down all day and emailing.
Yeah, you package all those drawings up, send them through a file share, you go into a SharePoint folder and it's an absolute mess of documents. So so those things are more efficient, possibly compared to a filing cabinet. But are they actually more efficient? So that's been on my mind a lot recently when we've got that kind of parallel of what it was and what it is now. And is it actually, it is better, but could it be even better again?
The principle of it is far, far better, right? There's way more speed, but you're right. Are we using it in the most efficient way possible to weed out the inefficiency? And you're right, maybe not.
And I think that comes back to, when you were talking about passion for improving the industry, the one thing that has to be in a QS's toolkit or development, of their career is the application of data science. So we are, I was having this conversation with someone recently about, are we scientists or aren't we scientists as quantity surveyors? I absolutely think we are. I think it's there's a bit of creativity every now and again, a bit of QS license, but we are scientists. We are bachelors of science. Yeah. That's what we do. We're badged as science. We sort of straddle across engineering, contract or law, finance, and a few other things. And you taught all those things in your technical training, and you get loads of development around those things. But actually, the data science component, which is not just how do you turn a computer on and log in, this is more about how you structure data. That's a discipline. That's it's engineering in its own right. And if quantity surveyors were better at that, and if it was more part of the curriculum, it was more part of the RICS. APC, and people were not forced, but were encouraged to explore and build those skills. I think that's where the transition starts to happen.
It's like your analogy earlier on. If you're the QS coming out of university back in our day, if you were a user of Excel, not a super user. I never said super user. I said a user of Excel, and you were able to create boxes and some if Wow! Did you go places? So the principle is the same now, isn't it? So if you have that understanding of the data science component and data languages, suddenly you're at a different level because you're looking at everything differently.
Yeah, and there's so much content available now. You can go on YouTube, you can do online courses. Yeah, it's not like you have to go into a workplace and get experience. You can go and learn these things by yourself, and that's what I encourage with the team. So we have a competency matrix as far as technology goes, but specific to quantity surveyors. Okay. People baseline themselves, and then they set a commitment this year about what is it? How are you going to shift your skill set here? And they'll all engage in that. So that's, it's absolutely imperative.
I was going to say necessary, because otherwise, how are you going to keep up with the ever-evolving industry that we're bloody in now at the moment?
Yeah, and the discussion I have with people who join us is, were it not for the business commitment to carve out time and get better at this, their time is just swallowed with reactive. Dealing with problems on site. Nobody's actually encouraging them to build these skills because they're not important in the moment. Yeah. And I think that's probably the case across the industry.
So do you think it's the responsibility then of the business really to carve out that time for people rather than encouraging people to find the time in their own time?
I think a bit of both. You need an element of leadership. Yeah. So you need somebody that puts the flagpole in the ground in the future and says, that's where we're going to get to. That's we all, we need to be doing this better. We don't know what the journey looks like, but it needs to be better. And then you need a group of people that are going to go, you know what, I quite like that idea. I'm passionate about that idea. I want to pursue that, and I'm going to follow you to that flagpole. And I think you need that. And what I'm concerned about probably is that there isn't much of that leadership in and maybe that's because of the firefighting aspect of
everybody's busy.
Most businesses are just it's a survival game sometimes.
We've been kind of, I guess, kicking this around for quite some time now. How do we upskill and within the business and the people we bring in when it comes to building information management and data quality assurance and stuff like that? And we were kind of going, okay, we can put training sessions in place, and we were kind of leaving it up to the team to go, this is what we want from you. We want to learn this and this and this and this. This is what we want from you as the business, and blah, blah, blah. And we found that people were busy and we weren't getting the engagement as that we would kind of automatically expected. Yeah. And then we were kind of, okay, so how do we make this work? Because it's important for the team, it's important for the business. And I think you're right there that the business needs to kind of step up and go, okay, if you're not telling us what you want, I think what we'll do is let's start implementing what we believe is necessary from a business perspective. And then when you guys are comfortable, come back to us, just add it to the list. It's anonymous, away you go, and it can be as radical as you want it. There's no inhibitions here. There's no holding back. It can be crazy stuff. I want to be a rally driver. Okay, well, I'm not sure how that's going to be or QSing, but
Yeah, well, it's one of the things it was one of the reflections I had on last year about, I've got this big idea. We're all going to get better at this. And I had a lot of people like went, yeah, okay, we agree. Yeah. And then, right, what do we do? And what I learned over the year and what we came out with is actually we need to define the competencies that generates roadmaps for people, and they can then pursue, I want to get better at generative AI, or I want to get better at data analysis, or, whatever their particular interest is. And then somebody, or there's a gap in who defines, because what does a quantity surveyor need? You open generative AI, you open a Gen AI app and you can do a million things with it. There's probably a million apps. So which ones of those are suitable for a QS? And I think that's where the more, people like you and I at our stage of our career need to be saying the million apps, most of them aren't relevant, or the particular tools or functions. We know that in order to be a good QS, you need to know this and this. Therefore, these apps or these functions of these apps are the most suitable go. So they need that bit of direction, I think, and that's what we've found.
We implemented a platform called Lattice. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an employee engagement platform. Okay. For example, tracking people's goals and aspirations. People's one-to-ones, what they think about the business at the moment, what they'd improve, track that kind of evolution along their career development, etc.
Oh, wow.
And we found the platform I find it very good, albeit the implementation of it we're struggling with. So we have the mentors kind of managing the one-to-ones, but we haven't really got that engagement on that, the grow aspect of what the plan is over the next 1, 3, 5 years. Where do you want your career to go? And so I'm reflecting now and at the moment on it, and I'm just thinking we need someone to kind of take the mantle up and manage the system, rather than the system just being there. Nothing really happens with it. And so now I'm thinking, okay, it's great to have been able to implement the system. Is it being used? Are we using it to its full efficiency? Do we actually need the super user or whoever within the team to go, actually, hang on a second, you need to do this and you need to do that in order for this to be more efficient?
I remember being asked those questions when I was a junior, and I remember thinking, I don't know, I want to learn as much as I can, as quickly as I can, but in terms of what I'm capable of achieving and how I get there, I'm kind of looking to you guys to show me what's possible, because I've never trodden that path before, and you have. So I do think you need to provide that guidance.
No, it's an eye opener. Again, owning the business and all, it's an eye opener, because you want people to take control of kind of their development themselves. But of course, maybe that's not how it works. Maybe the guidance part is key to it, kind of that ingredient.
You you put it in place, right? Go, start, and this isn't working, but understanding, reflecting, learning, taking feedback.
And that leads us nicely into the kind of, are we seeing better information being produced, whether it's in the business, whether it's around the business, whether it's the client's engagement that you're having at the moment? Are you guys seeing, working within that contractor space, are we seeing better information in terms of digitized information being produced right now? Or is it a case that it's starting, we're not there yet, or it's still very traditional?
I think it's definitely not traditional. I think, paper is fast. The trees are being saved, and that seems to be most people seem to be digital. I think the frustration I have with BIM or digital tools is whether we fully understand the benefit of them and who's yielding that benefit and are we getting the benefit from it, and do we engage with the tools? Because I remember, for example, building information modeling coming in as an example of something that was going to revolutionize the industry, and it has to an extent. But do I really feel the
full benefits?
Do I really feel it's the go-to tool for a QS? Not all the time. Is it reliable enough to just take data out and use it? Probably not yet. So I think there's still some way to go. And I think we are, as an industry, I'd say data rich, but information poor. Really loads of everywhere. Systems and stuff, but actually yielding insights from those things, I think we're very poor at. I was talking to a client about this recently, and we were just talking about the various systems that they brought into their business, and finance system, planning software, all these different things that in isolation make a lot of sense to that function because it works for them. But I said, well, what about the overall architecture of those systems? Like, how do they work with each other? Has anybody actually looked at that? And you can see the blank look thinking, no, we've never thought about
the horizontal aspect as opposed to the vertical.
Yeah, exactly that. And they've invested in these things over time. So then it's hard to unwind. If your finance system is whatever. It's hard to then go to another one. So I think that's a challenge as well in businesses. How do you stitch together that?
I guess you kind of mentioned you need to have it in your mind, don't you, at the beginning of the process, even if you're procuring these technologies over time, you're always asking that question, well, if I'm buying this for this purpose, can it also do this for me in terms of that kind of cross-sharing of information?
What do you want to know from what questions? And I was talking to somebody today about this. If we're going to design some controls or some ways of getting those insights, what questions do you want to ask the data? And you say that to somebody and they're kind of, well, it's obvious, well, it's not that obvious. And then they start to define that question. I want to know, are we on program or are we, I don't know.
Whatever basic, the question.
And you go, okay, well, that's, now we need to know what data do you have? And then what's the engineering in between those things that allows it to happen? So, I think that's probably an issue in the industry as well, in contractors. So my classic example is the project review or the contract review or the monthly review. And I've sat and seen some really, car crash meetings where there's, there's stacks of, it's a 50-page report. People have spent all week filling it out. And then you get there and you go, okay, what are the issues? Well, we don't know that. But here's 50 pages to read. And you can kind of pick the bones out of it. And you go, well, that's
where's my executive summary on all of this? Like,
what's
the one pager or whatever.
What's the thing that we need to talk about? What's the thing that's going to stop this project from progressing? And again, I wonder if you come back to how long people are spending processing the data rather than actually thinking about what's it telling me and what do I need to do.
What's the communication piece, the storyline for the people I'm presenting to?
And what do we then need to do about it? So you put that monthly snapshot into an everyday situation and you go, how often is that team stepping back and going, right, what's the data telling us? What do we need to do differently tomorrow to affect a different outcome? And probably not a lot of it because people are
wood from the trees maybe to say, or don't have the time to reflect and consider,
or spending so long trying to interpret and understand the data that by the time they've done that, they're like, right, it's time to go home now. I'll come back tomorrow. So there's huge potential there. I think if the data is better structured, people know how to get the insights, then you it's
more informed.
How do we make difference? How do you make a difference on the project?
On the contracts and claims side, I know you do quite a bit on that. Is there anybody really implementing much digitization within the contracts and claims perspective? Do you see digital contracts? Anybody really talking about the likes of blockchain or anything like that?
Personally not seeing any of the latter. There are, I'd probably say, good digital tools now for signing contracts, which probably came in 5 or 6 years ago. And finally, I think businesses are starting to...
it's not waiting anymore.
So that's really positive. I think contract administration software is becoming more widely used, which again, I think is a positive because tracking emails and having old spreadsheets that right, I've got to update it.
Yeah. What letter went out when? What date was that? I remember that back in the day. Your log.
Rather than the database logs it and you can pull that straight out or get. So those kind of things are really important. But then as far as blockchain goes,
it's a bit future down the road. I can't imagine anybody is there yet on that. Do you know what? It was a big thing a number of years ago, and it's kind of died a little bit now. I think AI has kind of pushed it to the corner. So hang on a second. We need to talk about me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But in terms of what you're seeing then within the industry, and we were talking a number of weeks back, I think, and we've seen the major contractors over the last 1-2 years break, ISG being one of them. Yep. When clients are contacting you, is it more strategy, front end, Tom? This is the project. I want you to come in and help us with how are we going to set this, how are we going to manage it commercially, contractually, etc. Or is it, Tom, I need your help. We're under pressure. We have, upstream, downstream claims. There's 50, 100 on the desk. We've no one to look at them. Our guys are under pressure. Or you're in a dispute case and you're trying to develop something. Is it more firefighting than strategy? Or
in fairness, there's a bit of both. Right. Mainly those companies that have just been through a bad experience, then go, right, I'm not doing that again. Yeah. So it's almost like people have to go through the near-death experience to then do something different, which is a real shame. But they become more enlightened. So we have been engaged recently by a company that do want to set things up right, and they recognise that setting the program up so that it can be impacted. Yeah. Setting the notices up right so that they're easy and quick for the team to do. Yeah. They're invested in that, and a couple of other clients are seeing that that benefit, but normally because we've solved the problem for them and they go, right, we cannot go through that again. Yeah. Can you continue and just get into the front end and help the team?
You almost need the use case, don't you? With them and go, now we
this
can do
is how you can do it differently. And that's always a really enjoyable experience because that's having long-lasting and sustainable value rather than just the firefighting where and there is a lot of that, and I understand why it happens because it's a tough industry. It's tough to make a margin. There's a lot of risk transfer.
All the fragmentation, and to be honest, is very difficult.
Money's tight, so you're sort of arguing over money that doesn't exist sometimes, and that and people have got their budgets and people have got their commitments to people
and their opinions, I guess.
And they get a bit emotional about them,
heated.
So there is a lot of that, and those are challenging situations. But I'm glad that we're able to step in, support business leaders, and help them find a route out of the situation that they've got.
Is it a new and emerging kind of consultancy service? When I reflect back in the day, in the noughties and the Celtic Tiger in Ireland, I know that everything is going great globally in terms of construction before the financial crash. I don't ever remember contractors bringing in consultants to help them with their traditional QS services.
Yeah, it's not. You tend to find it's probably not the first thing people think about. But more and more, I'm seeing individuals or businesses, business leaders say actually to fuse our team with some outside thinking and some outside expertise is actually not a bad thing. Yeah. But that's sometimes rare. Yeah. Because I think if you look at the psyche of an individual, most individuals don't want to be seen to not have the answer. Yeah. There's almost a pride thing of well, if I go outside and get some help, then I'm seen as not having the whole answer, right. And therefore, I'm seen as not being able to do my job. Whereas you get really enlightened individuals that say, actually,
there's more experience outside there. Let's go have a look.
We know what we know, and we're good at what we do, but actually, we would benefit from some new ideas, fresh ideas. And that can yield some fantastic results, because you go into an organization, they've got some really good people and really good ideas, and you fuse that with some outside ideas and you can come up with some, fantastic solutions. So again, always a positive to do.
Yeah. It takes a brave person, a confident person, I think, to put their hand up and say, actually, I don't know I don't know. I don't have the answer. Actually, I don't think we have the expertise, even though we're of the same name, QSs, but I think we should be bringing it in from the outside. It's a brave discussion.
And so we'll do things like, I'm not a huge fan of the word audit, but someone will bring us in to just go have a look at
quality
some
assurance
and give them some feedback on you've got some gaps there. This is what you can improve. So that tends to be well received. And I suppose working with the people that are in that business, we're not here to shine the spotlight on everything that you're not doing.
It's value creation.
You know what you know, and what you're not doing is not because people don't turn up to work to do a bad job, do they? They turn up to do the best they can. And you're trying to help them do that job better. So that seems to be well received.
No, it's interesting, because the dynamics are changing from that closed door kind of traditional contractor mentality to actually and I guess it comes down to projects are getting bigger in some respects, and it's difficult to get people as well. And the idea of bringing in specialists from outside it's more accepted now than it was maybe 20 years ago or whatever. It
seems that way, and I definitely think the shortage of skills is playing a part. I think the use of Microsoft Teams and SharePoint and things like that, opens up. You don't just need the local pool of QSs. You can actually extend this right out. But to go and get somebody from Manchester to work on a job in London might happen. But actually to go to someone that can provide those services remotely, and they don't mind if it's in London, Glasgow, because they're part of a local business. You're almost tapping in. So the intelligent, you're tapping into another resource pool that isn't available locally. So that's I think that's the intelligent thing to do, because you are fighting for resources often. If you think about a big rail framework or a big water framework,
the numbers are huge, in terms of staff numbers needed.
And there's 6 or 7 framework partners, and they're all trying to fight over the same pool of people. So I think from a resourcing and HR perspective, you have to think more laterally about how do we solve this problem. Otherwise, you either pay over the odds, you struggle to find people, or you get poor quality people, and then So that's
not fit for that particular role is what we see a lot, and that's the challenge. Then, and that compounds. Yeah, exactly. But tell me, so what's next? Do you think? Kind of 2 questions. What's next for the industry, and what's next for Quantik here? What's the aspiration looking towards 2030?
So if I think about the industry and what I hope for the industry, very quickly, I think the reality is not much will change very quickly. Probably
we have to be positive, though.
If I hope that we can see a significant, I call it intelligent use of technology. So it's not people being, becoming technology experts and coders and software engineers. It's just using the
tools well,
just using them better. Reducing waste. That for me would be just to feel that being involved in a project or an issue, and I'm going, this is just slick and smart, and it's on point. There's no waste. I'd love to feel that in 2030, and just look around and think, we're still all working. We've still all got a job. We're not out of a job, but we're performing, delivering. That feeling would be immense, I think. Unfortunately, I think it'll be maybe a slight improvement on where we are, a slow improvement.
I think but that utopia sounds nice, to be fair, though, but I think our challenge, of course, is because we work in an environment with so many different people, with so many different personalities, that it's often difficult to get that unique kind of team trait with all stakeholders in that same project and go, actually, the vision is the same, personalities, they balance, they match. It's a wonderful, people put their hand up, they're comfortable to say, actually, I don't know, we need to figure this out quickly,
And I remember having some of those moments early in my career. I don't know if you remember them, and you just feel this is fantastic. Everybody's working together, we're slick, we're efficient, and then probably felt it less so in the second half of my career in contracting. I just felt it was a bit.
The rose tinted glasses suddenly come off, I guess, And
I don't know if that was just you're sort of young, enthusiastic, and
Doesn't
you
matter.
overlook all the problems in the world. You just and then you get a bit, a bit further on in your career, and you start to see the world a bit differently. Maybe, and maybe I'm yearning for the halcyon days. That just don't exist. But that feeling is immense, and I think that's what most people want to feel on a construction project.
You want to enjoy their job.
And you want to enjoy working with the people around you and creating solutions that are fantastic. So that's what I hope. In terms of Quantik and what we're doing, I think there's loads of ambitions I've got for growth and new markets and all that,
Excellent.
like you say, obsessive ideas in the 10 o'clock at night, right, we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that, all those crazy ideas. But I think to build a team and a business that I enjoy working in, the people working in it are excellent QSs, that they are technically the best that they can be at their level, because you can't expect an apprentice to be. But they're constantly pursuing excellence in quantity surveying. Again, they're using technology slick, and you don't have to encourage it. So we have to encourage it now, but they're almost just moving the bar up by themselves. That feeling,
there's an eagerness behind it.
This is moving itself now. It's not me having to set the standard. This is breathing and it's moving and it's performing. So that's the feeling I'd like to have, because if, in my view, if you sort those, if those things are happening,
naturally,
growth happens, quality, client outcomes happen. So they're all outputs for me, and I don't get too stressed about, right, we're going to be this big this year, or we're going to be that big this year, because you then get distracted by things that don't add value. So my focus is very much on the inputs and what makes a good solution or a good service. And then what standards do you set for people? So that's the feeling I want. I want to be stood in 2030 thinking I'm feeling this
energetic about it all.
This
proud and pride as well. After all.
Moving and happening, and I'm not sat there going, I've had to put another flagpole in the ground, Ross. For technology or whatever. I want to be saying to you, look, the team they've put
they're driving it,
and it's beyond anything that I ever believed was possible. That would be really amazing if it's like my view of life is it can get to here, but then all of a sudden the team are going, no, you're way off. It's up here, and we should be using this, and we can do that, and they're coming up with ideas and ways of solving problems that I couldn't even imagine or contemplate. So that for me would feel pretty fantastic.
You're almost wearing two hats, aren't you? You're envisioning the future in one sense, and you're looking at quality and the team environment, and then you're not necessarily focused on growth, but that'll come naturally. But then you also have, what happens what if kind of situation? Well, what if we are 50, 60, 100, 200 people? What does that look like in terms of the business? So you've a multiple track kind of going here of these ideas and what they fit in, and going, and things kind of over time, some will fade away and others will come to light, and you kind of go, okay, this is what the idea I had, or this is the envision.
That was the benefit of the couple of years or 3 years that I had of really wrestling with my thoughts, because I have a very clear idea now that I want a team of people that are excellent with technology and excellent quantity surveying wise, and consistent standards, and if I can do that, and whether that's 5 people, 10 people, 50, whatever it is, if I'm feeling that, then I feel I've created something that doesn't exist. That's my definition anyway.
Yeah, excellent. Tom, it's been a pleasure having you on, buddy. Thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Ross. Cheers.
Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.